The fire was small that morning, just enough to warm the hands, not to chase away the light of the rising sun. Little Tuyetuye sat close to it, carefully turning a piece of food over the glowing coals. Her face was calm, focused, her small hands moving with care as she copied what she had seen her grandmother do many times before. Nearby, a quiet animal sat watching, a panda. It chewed slowly, peacefully, as if it had always belonged there beside her. Tuyetuye smiled softly. "You like this?" she asked in a whisper, holding up a small piece. The panda blinked and continued eating. Behind her, the grandmother watched in silence for a moment before speaking. "You are learning," she said. Tuyetuye turned slightly, her eyes bright. "I want to be strong like you." The old woman shook her head gently. "Strength is not only in the hands." She stepped closer and sat beside her. "It is in how you see, how you listen, how you care." The fire crackled softly. For a while, there was only the sound of chewing fire and morning birds. Then Tuyetuye spoke again. "Grandmother, is the lion still out there?" The question hung in the air. The panda paused, then continued eating. The grandmother looked toward the trees, her expression calm but distant. "Yes," she said quietly. "The wild does not forget itself." Tuyetuye lowered her gaze to the fire. "I am not afraid," she said, though her voice was small. The grandmother placed a hand gently on her shoulder. "Fear is not your enemy," she replied. "It is a voice. You must learn when to listen to it." The breeze shifted. For a moment, the birds stopped singing. Tuyetuye noticed. Her hands froze, the panda stopped chewing. The forest grew still. The grandmother did not move quickly. She simply leaned closer and spoke in a low voice. "What do you feel?" Tuyetuye swallowed. "It's quiet." The grandmother nodded. "That quiet is not empty. It is a message." Tuyetuye slowly stood, staying close. The fire popped, sending a small spark into the air. Then, from somewhere beyond the trees, a faint movement. Not loud, not fast, but there, watching, waiting. Tuyetuye's heart beat faster, but she remembered. "Do not run, do not panic. Stay together." The grandmother gently added more wood to the fire. The flames grew stronger, pushing light outward. The panda shifted closer to Tuyetuye. Minutes passed. Then slowly, the birds began to sing again. The tension faded. The unseen presence moved away. The grandmother exhaled softly. "You see now?" she said. Tuyetuye nodded. "Yes, the land speaks." The old woman smiled. "And today, you listened." Tuyetuye looked at the fire, then at the forest, then at the small companion beside her. In that quiet moment, she understood something deeper. Even in peaceful, beautiful moments, the wild is always alive. And survival is not about being fearless. It is about being aware, staying together, and respecting every living thing around you. The fire burns softly in the pale light of morning, its warmth gentle against the cool air. Little Tuyetuye sat close, her small hands carefully turning the food over the coals, just as her grandmother had taught her. Her movements were slow, careful, trying to be perfect. Nearby, the panda sat quietly, chewing, its soft eyes watching her every move. It felt like a peaceful moment. Too peaceful. Tuyetuye smiled faintly. "I'm doing it right, aren't I?" she whispered, more to herself than anyone else. Behind her, the grandmother watched in silence. For a moment, she did not answer. Then she spoke, her voice soft but heavy. "You are learning." Tuyetuye turned quickly, her face lighting up. I want to be strong like you, she said. The grandmother's expression changed. Just slightly, a shadow passed through her eyes. My child, she said gently, I was never as strong as you think. Tuyetuye frowned. But you survived everything. The old woman slowly sat beside her, her bones stiff, her hands worn with time. Yes, she said quietly, but survival is not always strength. The fire cracked. Tuyetuye looked down. Then what is it? The grandmother did not answer right away. She reached out and adjusted the food in the fire, her hands steady despite their age. It is loss, she said finally. It is remembering and still choosing to live. Tuyetuye's smile faded. The panda stopped chewing for a moment, as if it could feel the shift in the air. Grandmother, Tuyetuye whispered, do you still think about them? The old woman's eyes drifted far away beyond the trees, beyond the morning light, every day. Her voice trembled slightly. I still hear my father's footsteps when the wind moves. I still see my mother's hands when I gather food and my grandfather. She paused, swallowing. I still wait for him sometimes, even now. Tuyetuye's eyes filled with tears. But they're gone, she said softly. The grandmother nodded. Yes, and that is why you must listen to me. She gently held Tuyetuye's hands, small, warm, full of life. The lion.
Tulia jamaa. Cha unani?
Tum pa ana. Tum kama.
ila boko matala wata sasa mitageuda kuishi na kukua tata ikichana tani ina
haita kwa yo ata ichia kwa kusimanaga
uja tubata kwa kimika
tushu mamta
ukiwa na kimika au tumetokana
chi kwa
aina mtu
kama atona
aboto kwa takima ati stene ndio bana kwa tazata uende kwa tazata choa ama
same chu yo opa
Ai kwa tubuli
takwa amani cha ati visa kwa ukasema kama aje tena makivi
yako sababu
tako
mbona bado kwa ati icha
icha momo
tachana kono batuka hiya
Jani chama na ati binafa
takwa amani cha
kote tu akicha ite iya
Next Hadzabe story. Little Tuyetuye sat quietly beside the fire, holding a small stick and tracing circles in the ash. The grandmother's words still echoed in her mind. The land speaks. You must learn to listen. The night was calm, but Tuyetuye felt something different in the air. Grandmother, she asked softly, how do we know when danger is near? The old woman looked at her with calm eyes. You do not always see danger first, she replied. Sometimes you hear it or feel it. She pointed toward the trees. Listen. The children became silent. At first they heard nothing. Then slowly, the usual night sounds changed. The insects grew quiet, the birds stopped calling. Tuyetuye's heart began to beat faster. Do you feel it? The grandmother asked. Tuyetuye nodded. Yes, it feels empty. The grandmother nodded. That emptiness is a warning. From the distance, a branch snapped. All the children turned their heads at once. The grandmother did not move quickly. She simply stood up and said calmly, Stay close. Do not run. Do not panic. The fire was strengthened, the flames rising higher, the light pushed back the darkness. Tuyetuye stayed close to the others, remembering the lesson. Not strength, not speed, awareness. The sounds of the night slowly returned again. Crickets, wind, distant movement. The danger, whatever it was, passed by unseen. Tuyetuye looked up at her grandmother. "I understand now," she whispered. The grandmother smiled. "You are learning." And in that moment, Tuyetuye realized something important. In the wild, survival was not only about hunting or running. It was about listening, staying together, and respecting the balance of nature. Next story. Little Tuyetuye and the morning tracks. Before the sun rose, Little Tuyetuye woke up to the soft movement of the camp. The fire was still warm, and the air carried a cool morning breeze. She noticed her grandmother already awake, looking at the ground near the edge of the camp. "Grandmother," Tuyetuye asked, rubbing her eyes, "why do you wake up so early?" The old woman pointed to the ground. "Because the land leaves messages while we sleep." Tuyetuye walked closer and looked down. In the soft soil, there were fresh tracks, clear and deep. "Are these animal tracks?" she asked. The grandmother nodded slowly. "Yes, and they tell a story." Tuyetuye knelt down, studying them carefully. Which animal made them? The grandmother crouched beside her. "Look at the shape, the size, the distance between steps." Tuyetuye followed the marks with her fingers. "They are large and heavy, walking close to our camp." The grandmother's voice became serious. "Very good. And what does that mean?" Tuyetuye thought for a moment. "It means something strong passed by here while we were sleeping." The grandmother nodded again. "Exactly, not all danger comes loudly, some pass quietly." Tuyetuye looked around nervously. "Is it still here?" The grandmother smiled gently. "We do not know, but we prepare, we observe, and we stay together." She stood up and called the others. "Look at the ground before you step. Learn what walks around you. The land will guide you if you pay attention." The children gathered, studying the tracks, learning